Matt Coronato, another goal.
What a shot.
He can shoot it. That's what we've said since he was drafted. He can shoot it.
End of a shift.
Tired.
Went on a 2-on-1, poached it.
Yeah. Shitty hands, but
back the other way and wires it. Kind of a weird one. Like there's a couple things there. It's like across the body to the far post, which is usually blocker side, but for Thompson, it's glove side. So you think he'd be in a better vantage, situation or vantage point to.
Great pass by Bahl.
Great. I mean,
it's just a
2-line pass.
Send it. It was a 2-line pass. That was a crazy rule.
It's a heck of a shot.
I was stunned at like how much people were panning Coronato last year.
What's panning mean?
Just like, whatever. Okay. And you're like, this guy's played Harvard a year ago. This is last year.
Harvard. Smart too.
Like
so smart.
NCAA. It's a big jump to go to the pros. And he's like, oh, he's going to the A. Oh, what are you doing? Another bad pick. Like, could you give the guy a year? It's his first full season. He looks like a guy like, he could score 30 in this league. Like that's an asset for this organization. He gets paid this summer too.
15 on the year. And I mean, hey, he's a first rounder. So you'd hope that he's going to get in the league and play, but
not even get in the league. I mean, we're talking, he's looking like one of their best finishers in his first full season.
Yeah. I would say he's their best shooter. Is there anyone
him and Sharon Govich can
maybe
rifle it? I don't know where to put Frost yet, but he's got some handles on him.
The shot is undeniable.
Yeah, it's a difference maker. It separates him from the pack. Like a lot of the other skills are good, but
if you were to take the reel of his 15 goals, there's some nice.
They're all like that. Yeah, they're all. A lot of them are from distance, beating goalies clean.
And not many on this team would you say that's the case.
No, last year we stood around saying no one can do this.
Yeah. And I looked last night, and I believe it to be true. But again, me and math. His longest goal drought was 6 games this year.
That's it.
It's just been kind of consistent. He's not binging and then disappearing for a long stretch of time.
Yeah. He had the coming out party game in Montreal and at Richmond's. Remember that?
He's got 15. Chill out.
I'm just telling you.
Been good.
On this team, to be a consistent goal scorer is that's a feat.
So he signs and plays, I think, the last game of 2 seasons ago, which I think might have been a San Jose game.
Stupid cap management there.
Well, you needed just him to sign to get the assets. So sure enough. And he might be cheaper coming off an 18, 20 goal a year than whatever he'll do next year. So it might have been genius. But what do you do if you're Connie with him this summer? Because you could flop an 8-year deal. You could go short term at low money. Because point being, what do they really think about Matt Coronato and where he's going? There's a chance to get him cheap. You've got the cap space. If it's going to be an overpay for the first couple of years, these are the years to do it. You got lots of cap space.
The Sabres did with like
Cousins, yeah.
Some of those guys.
Nice night for Cousins last night.
Was it
3 assists, I believe?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oddly for Craig Conroy, we talked about this offseason could be an easy one. Last year, all those UFAs, he's got all these trades to make, that sort of thing. He does have some decisions. We actually got into it last night. What are you doing with Frost? What are you doing with Bahl? What are you doing with Coronato? You've got
Wolf, the biggest.
Wolf, you've got some.
Also, Zary.
They're under your control.
Zary as well.
But to your point, what are you doing here with term?
Yeah. And we talked about it on the show yesterday, and it's definitely not apples to apples. But when Matthew Tkachuk came up out of his entry level, they weren't in a spot where it was going to be easy for them to overpay in the short term to get him locked in long term. If that was even something he'd sign or not, I don't want to get into that. But they're in a really unique spot where they have a ton of cap space and can afford for those short term overpays to win the long term deal on all these guys. Like you're looking at some money coming off the books in the form of like Mantha Kuzmenko. You could extend all these guys in that 5 to 8 year range, whereas most teams, you can't do that because you'll be capped out. You're like, we got to bridge this guy to keep him cheap for a while, and then that guy will be expired, and then when he comes up, and that's kind of what they did with Tkachuk. You have a chance to lock guys into value deals across the board here.
Do you want to do that right now, Rhett? Or do you want to think of, because these are the names. Now, Klapka is there, but Klapka is
not concerned. Klapka's a replaceable piece.
Morgan Frost, 25, center. This is the last year of his current deal. He's an RFA, so you have his rights, but he has arbitration. 2.1 million.
So you qualify him at 2.5, I think is the word. Ish.
So
I want to see more. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. I like the player.
I like the skills.
I'm not.
What is he? That's what I'm not sure about.
Well, he's a 25-year-old center.
Right, but is he going to be a top 2 center in the league or not? I'm not sure.
Is he at 50 points? Is he?
Yeah. I like the skills, but I'm not ready to say this is our number 2 center. I'm going to pay him as such for the next 6-7 years, right? Whereas I feel differently about what Zary's going to be for the next 8, what Wolf's going to be for the next year plus the next 8. What I think Coronato's got a perfect profile for a top 6 scoring winger. I'm more comfortable in what he is. I haven't seen enough for us to say, here's what he's going to be in the league, where I feel much more comfortable. And because we've watched him for 150 games or whatever with the other guys.
It's the fully Coronato, like, or the other way.
Skates better, but yeah, they're finishers, right? Right
not
shots.
A bunch better, though, right? Like, he's not a pretty skater.
I would say he's like, his skating doesn't hurt him. Toffoli's ugly.
It's probably, it's probably average, right? It's
average is fine.
speed
It
for
means,
Coronado.
you're a good skater in the
I'm not
NHL.
criticizing you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you.
I see some similarities there.
For sure. It's the shot that's the difference maker. Like, if Tyler Toffoli can't shoot, he's not in the league. That's a major weapon, right?
So Coronato's 22, RFA coming out of entry level, Zary 23, center winger coming out of entry level.
Because I brought up Cousins, and because we talk about the Sabres sometimes, because I live in Buffalo and blah, 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 blah. Is there a word of caution for Conroy?
Not yet.
But if they're planning on doing what the Sabres have done, and that's where they've kind of signed a bunch of guys that are NHLers, but maybe not difference makers. And then
you'd have to, like, the thing with the Cousins deal is, you knew, not unlike Sanderson and Ottawa and others, that you were going to overpay the first couple of years, but that you believed in the players' development.
You're in the muck for a few years too, because this team is not heads and tails next year playoff bound either. They're having a hell of a year, right? And if you go and pay all those guys, it's fine.
That's what you want. The overpay years are the years you want to not be contending. Like, it doesn't hurt you when, if you're a team about to win, you need every dollar to be efficient. They're not there right now. These will be really efficient contracts when this team is in that window to be a contender, theoretically.
And I'm not here or there. I'm just
So I would say go as long as you can with Zary, Coronato, Wolf.
What about Bahl? Powder dry, Dean?
I would
24.
I would give the 1-year deal to Frost, or 2, whatever he's preferring, and just say let's see how we fit more. And with Bahl, I'd sort of midterm it, because I don't think he's irreplaceable, but I do think he's important.
What do you want? It's a tough question to answer.
Right? Like on a contending team, is Bahl your 4, or is he your left side?
Tell you
5?
what, Toronto Maple Leafs would love to have.
I think he's a 4.
Yep.
He wasn't last year on this team.
On most teams, I think he's a 4 if you need him to be. And even some good teams are going to have stronger or weaker defense.
I just think of this team that started last year in this city. He's their 6, because he's not Zadorov and he's not Tanev, Hanifin.
Who would you rather have right now?
After shit talking Zadorov, you're going to take Zadorov over Bahl?
They're super different. You know what? That's fair. They're right? Comparable. So that's a 5 then. That's my point. He's a 5 on this team last year.
I think what
but you had one of the.
I had the 4 guys and then Zadorov.
I know, but your decor last year was quite
good. So, like, a contending decor. Yeah.
I think what other
I'm just asking what you think of him. I
think we're splitting hairs, to be honest with you. I think he's a 4 or 5, depending on what he's making.
That's totally. And so, what is a 4 or 5 a guy that you need to lock up long term? And I guess depends on the number.
You might.
If it's a deal, the number that you're like, oh, I like that, then absolutely do it.
If you don't, it's great to think that all these kids that we're so excited about as defensemen are coming along. None of them are contributing in the NHL, and have, like, even if you get Parekh, we're talking about Anderson leaving, and
Parek's
you have to have some defense.
I agree, and I don't think he and Parekh are similar at all in the sense that.
But I think that makes him maybe more valuable, because you have
6 fucking defensemen.
Dude, let me finish the point. I'm not arguing with you here.
Well, you are.
No, I was literally going to say, and that's why I agree with you in the sense that.
Oh, all right.
You know, all these guys they have are offensive profile right side. The only real comparable I see on the left is like Solovyov. Do you believe in 3 years Solovyov could be the better guy than him? It's conceivable.
They're the same age.
Are they?
Yeah.
I thought Bahl was older.
24.
Okay. So that's good.
Both left shots, 24. I think Bahl's, like you said, he's replaceable but important.
Yeah.
That's a big gap. If he's important, then you want to keep him.
He would be the least
I would-
important of that group.
and
He
I-
and Frost. Yeah.
I don't think it would be a big pay if it's
Take Bahl out of the lineup. How did the D look?
Not good.
that's the thing. I wonder if
Yeah.
you've got something here that it's not sexy, but is valuable.
Yeah. And I hope you have two with Solovyov as well. I think so. But again, are you going 8 years or is that, I don't want this guy into the 30s? I think a 4 or 5 year deal would make sense. 3, 4, 5.
Sure.
Yeah. What's that cost you? 3.5, 4?
I think it's more.
Cap's going up.
I'd be
He's
happy.
a fourth defenseman.
I'd be happy with 3.5, 4.
Yeah, you'd be
It's a
happy.
nice-
I don't think it's enough for him.
He's making just over $1 million. It's a nice little raise.
Yeah. And
4.5.
we always play these games where it's like,
Yeah.
what would you do? It's like, well, we don't know what the money the player wants is. Because if he wants 6, I have to say buy.
Yeah.
But if he wants 3.5, lock him up for 8 years. Like,
Yes.
the money is a huge variable. We don't know.
3.5. Yeah.
Right?
But at a time where there's so many sexy D and puck movers and all that, I still find value in that kind of guy.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.